Every kid that gets adopted, there's usually challenges that they've gone through, you know, and I mean, the initial one, of course, is being separated from their biological parents. It's going to be rough.
I don't want to kill it. I don't want to kill it. There's a spider. There's a spider. Okay. Oh, that's so gross. Okay. Hey guys, it's Kay. Welcome back to Wonelli. Today is a very special video. We are going to be doing our Q&A with our parents. Now, we were going to have all the kids come and do this with us, but it's kind of late. So we're just going to do the parents today. And if you guys have questions for the kids, we'll do a separate Q&A with just them about their adoption. All right, so without further ado, my parents. All right, oh, here are our parents. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi.
I'm Michelle. This is Mike. We've been married for a very long time. It's going on 33 years. We met in high school. We're high school sweethearts. And we got married and we had 4 kids. Kay, Kevin, Isaac, and Roman.
That's our mom and dad. So some people had some questions for the parents. So I'm gonna go ahead and ask you guys some of these questions and have you guys answer them. One thing I did wanna say first though is I think there was a little bit of confusion with who in our family is adopted. Maybe our video wasn't quite clear. So let's clear that up. Who is adopted?
It's Danny, Nathan, Tristan, Allie, Jamie, and Gracie.
Yeah, so the 6 younger kiddos are adopted, and I have 3 younger brothers. So Isaac and Kevin are not adopted, and Roman, who you never met, is not adopted. They are biological to me, but I'm not adopted. but everybody else, all the other kiddos are adopted.
Actually, if you want to go technical, what Danny will say, the first 5 were adopted and Gracie came along at the end, and then she was adopted 2 months later as a 3-month-old.
Yeah.
So does Danny think that was 2 separate adoptions?
Yes.
Oh, in Danny's mind, Gracie was adopted, not in the same family.
He always tells me, no, she has a different date, and I'm like, yes, she does, but you were together.
So here we go. Who would you say out of all the kids gets along the best, or who doesn't get along that well?
Tristan and Gracie get along really well.
Yeah.
But
I mean, they all get along, and it's just they usually have their little squabbles once in a while, and it's usually...
the sisters are sisters stealing each other clothes. The brothers are brothers, and they always roughhouse. I mean, it's just normal kid stuff.
Yeah, they get along. I think they all pretty much, I don't know, they all pretty much hang out together. Okay, who would you say is the funniest, sassiest, and craziest?
Allie.
Okay. Allie is the sassiest. Jamie's the craziest.
Yeah, Jamie is the craziest.
I mean, they all can have their funny moments, you know, as far as being funny.
Gracie just keeps us rolling.
Yeah.
That girl, I don't know where she comes up with all the things she does. She's hilarious. Allie's a teenager almost, so she's got a sassitude.
Yeah.
She is really sassy. So, just to kind of give a little bit of a backstory, so these siblings of mine and ours, they actually were our cousins. So if you look at them, a lot of times people will be like, oh, you guys don't look like they're adopted. That's because we actually do have a lot of the same blood in us. They are cousins from our mom's side. So there was a question that asked who was adopted together, and they all were adopted together. They're all biological siblings. So here's a good one. Maya Isabel asked, when did you decide you wanted to adopt?
I actually found out that they were being taken away and they weren't going back, and so that is the reason why I was compelled to adopt.
But we didn't adopt them right away.
We didn't adopt them right away.
We waited past 180 days, be able to interject as family to be able to adopt the kids, and it was just because we didn't know if we wanted to adopt them.
We were right at
can't.
the line.
We didn't
It's
know
a long story.
We didn't know if we were able to. We didn't know if we could do it financially, could do everything else, and so we waited. And we had to fight for them.
So I think an interesting thing would kind of be to go through the whole story of the adoption a little bit, because it was really interesting. Because so I'm behind the camera, so this is kind of stupid not to see my face, but that's okay. So it was interesting because when they were adopted, I actually was serving a mission for our church, and so I was in Arizona, and I just remember it was so on Mondays we got to go and use the computers and email our family. And I went to the computer on a Monday and I got an email from my dad, and it said, "How would you feel if we adopted well, at the time it was just 5 cousins?" And I was like, what? Like, it was like, well, I don't know. And I mean, at that time, I didn't know any of them. We hadn't really hung out with any of them or seen them in a long time. So I knew Danny when he was like a little kid, and I had seen Allie once, but I'd never seen any of the other kiddos. So I didn't even really know who they were. But I remember just telling him that we were going to pray about it. So I don't know if you guys want to fill in on that, what happened on your guys' side, but that's what...
Well, we did a lot of praying about it, because, and then it just kept coming back to, you need them.
We didn't know them very well. We just hadn't hang out with them very much, so I really didn't know them at all. We met them for the first time, and it was after that that I realized that they weren't going anywhere.
That they were our kids. I already knew them because I had seen them more often. It's a long family story, but yeah, so I mean, I knew who they were, and I just couldn't see them going to non-family. I couldn't see them leaving the state of Utah. I couldn't see them being anywhere other than in our family. And so, but Dad, of course, Mike had to decide for himself, and after he met them, that's when he was like, okay, we have to have them. It's like they've always been in our family actually now.
Yeah.
It's always like they've been our kids.
And I always joke with Danny, because there'll be times when he'll say something like, "Oh, when I was younger," and he'll like tell a story, and I'm like, "Why don't I remember that?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, you weren't. I wasn't. You weren't here." Like, I always forget. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Oh yeah,
You
there was
were
a time when
adopted.
you weren't here." Like it is really weird, because it does seem like they were always just a part of our family. And it was interesting. Yeah, like my mom had mentioned, they were adopted, and then Gracie was kind of a surprise visitor
Yes.
to our family.
Yes.
Gracie showed up, and didn't you say, Dad, that they actually said you want to just keep her for a little bit?
Yeah, we're like, she's not going anywhere.
Yeah. They're like, nope, she's ours too.
And she was just
She
3 days old. little baby.
she was 3 days old, and it was so weird to take on a newborn when your baby was 17 at the time.
Yeah. Just had to remember everything on how to just take care of them.
Yeah, and had to ask people
Just had to-
how to parent a baby again, because you haven't been there, and formulas and diapers, and you hadn't done it for 17 years. It was weird.
How old were all the kids when they were adopted, and how old are they all now?
So Gracie was 3 months old.
3 days.
We got her at 3 days old, but she was 3 months old when we were able to adopt her. When we got Jamie, she was 2.5, and
Allie was 5.
Allie was 5.
And-
Tristan turned 8. Nathan was 10, and Danny was 11. They're actually 10 months apart.
So for a short time.
So right now they're both 16, and then Danny turned 17.
Yeah.
But right now we have 2 16-year-olds in the house.
So Gracie is 6,
Jamie's now going to turn 9 next month, so she's still 8.
Allie's 12.
Allie's 12.
Tristan's 14.
Tristan 14.
And then the 2 boys are 16.
Yep.
Yeah. Sorry, I missed that.
And we always joke, like, who thought it was a good idea to have 2 boys that close in age? They're constantly roughhousing through the house and wrestling each other, and
yeah, they're boys through and through.
yeah. I think that might be all the questions that they had specifically just for the parents. Was there anything that you guys just wanted to add?
I think sometimes, kids come from hard places, and there's trauma, and there's all these things you don't know you're going to deal with. And have you ever mentioned that he does have autism?
Yeah, he actually mentioned that once
Oh.
in one of our videos just randomly.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so Tristan does have autism, which sometimes for him, like when he's in a video, he sometimes will only stay for maybe like 10 minutes because it's just, he gets distracted. He wants to go do other things, or sometimes he doesn't want to. Sometimes it's too much.
Some things it's too much for him, and that's fine. But some things he wants to do, and so he does what he wants to in the video. So if he's and then you lose him. So if he's there, it's because he wanted to be there for that minute, but then you lose him.
And that's why he wasn't in the water balloon video. He actually doesn't really like getting wet. So he was like, can I please not do that? So that's why he wasn't in the water balloon video.
Yeah, he
chose to not.
He just has a lot of sensory issues.
Because I know some people asked a little bit about some of the kids. So maybe I'll just address that real quick. So, you know, sometimes you might notice that Tristan is really small. Sometimes that you'll notice that he doesn't look so small. Other times he does. It just depends on how much he's eating and what's going on with him. He honestly that kid is so hard to get him to eat anything. First of all, it isn't junk food. And then when he does eat, he doesn't eat a lot. And he gets like, when we eat dinner, he'll be pacing around the table eating his dinner. Like
he never sits
really
down.
It's hard to get him to
that
sit down and
kid
eat.
you just cannot.
And then it seems like after we've all gotten dinner eaten and it's time to go to bed, that's when he'll come down and eat 2 more bowls of cereal.
Yeah.
Just, you know, because he just always gets distracted and he's always moving, so you gotta pay attention to it and say, okay, are you really full, you know?
And then I know there was a comment on one of our videos, and it was hard for Allie because she accidentally read that comment. So somebody talked a little bit about how Allie has some dark circles, and we didn't ever address it. It was like months ago, and I kind of forgot about it, but it just reminded me. One thing that we didn't mention about Allie is we took her into the doctor, and they said that she actually has a slight iron deficiency. That's one thing that she's actually really self-conscious about. When we did our makeup video, that was the one thing she really wanted was concealer, because she's kind of self-conscious about her dark circles. So, but anyways, yeah. So her dark circles aren't because she's malnourished or nobody cares about her or somebody's...
No, the doctor sees her.
It's just that she unfortunately does have that little bit of an iron deficiency, and she does have a hard time at night sleeping. So anything else you want to say, Dad?
One thing I can say, I guess, is this, is if you're ever thinking about adopting, just understand that when you first adopt them, you know, even if it's just one child, there's that honeymoon period, and so don't think it's going to be like that for the first few months. Don't think it's going to be that way for the remainder of for the whole time, because it's going to be, after that they're going to be family members and they're going to be kids, and kids are kids. And so the honeymoon phase lasts for a little while, and then it's not that way anymore. And just be aware of that. You know, every kid that gets adopted, there's usually challenges that they've gone through. You know, and I mean, the initial one, of course, is being separated from their biological parents. It's going to be rough, you know. So it's so just be aware of that, and just love them with all your heart.
Yeah,
For sure.
it takes, you know, a village. You have to find the right people, depending on what trauma they've gone through, that can help them through that trauma, so that you're not in therapy for 100 years, or
definitely get counseling for on hand, so that they can help the kids deal with what they have to go through. So.
All right, guys. Well, this was a little bit more of a serious video, and I knew it was going to be, just because adoption is, while it's wonderful and it's happy, it's also a very serious subject. That is the end of today's video.
Bye.
That is not how we do the outro. If you guys like what you saw today, go ahead and hit that like button down below. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe, and we will see you guys all in the next video. All right, bye guys.